Hey everyone, welcome back to Seeing Unfiltered. I want to apologize first off for last week. That was the beginning of my Rona. I caught the Rona, but I'd rather get it now than later for the holidays. So if you go back and watch that episode, my throat was killing me, and I might have little spills of dry cough, but I got my water, stickers. We got stickers too. But
I apologize also for my Taco Bell internet. All of a sudden they made me move parking spots, so I lost the Wi-Fi, brother.
he was on that Starbucks, McDonald's Wi-Fi, and that's
Oh,
what happens when you live in the valley,
someone with,
bro.
someone with pink hair comes out yelling at me, and got to move.
It is what it is. But we're back, week 2. We got a lot of good information. We're gonna do some starts and sits for you. We're gonna go through some fantasy football bets. A little bit of what I was trying to explain to X here because he's a little new to the betting. He doesn't really care for the betting, but that's okay. He does know his football. Yeah, he does know his football. And then we're going to do something new. So I've been getting a lot of texts from just friends and family and different coworkers about, like, there's a lot of new players and also players who've been playing for a long time who don't know, like, trays and, who I know we do starts and sits as far as, like, 2 players, but, like, there's more of, like, oh, do I play at Brandon Ayuk because he played so bad? We're going to kind of get into that. And we're going to do a little bit of, like, a segment called overreaction, underreaction. And what that's going to do is kind of just plays through some scenarios that I've been seeing a lot on the internet, TikTok, and just people have been like freaking out over certain players. And I think in general, you guys just need to pump your brakes and not start dropping players like crazy because they didn't do good the first week. Like, let's all just take a moment, take a deep breath. It's fine.
For the rest of us that lost our first week, you just got to stop, take a breath. It's not the end of the season. I'm one of those guys that freaks out when I lose my first game of the week. I lost to the boy here, so
I was gonna ask you. I was like, hey, how's the ass whooping? How did that feel?
Oh, dude, you know what, dude? I am the bench fantasy master, brother.
There you go.
Everybody on my bench popping off 20 plus, dude. Oh,
Jaden Reed, Worthy.
Oh, dude, I don't know. My life's a lie. That's all I could tell you, dude.
Just don't start Jaden Reed this week. Whatever you do, for the love of God, don't do it.
Oh, no. Trust me. I'm a Titans fan, remember? Yeah, I know what Malik Willis is about. Okay,
Garbage.
No, we're not doing that.
Garbage. But we'll just hop right back into it. So this week, starting at quarterback, I like Jaden Daniels. I did talk a lot of crap about rookie quarterbacks in general. There's one that I am going to run back on. But Jaden Daniels, being a runner, runners are very prominent in fantasy football. You see Josh Allen, a lot of that was running. And he's playing against a boo-boo New York Giants defense who got absolutely slaughtered by Aaron Jones and Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold, of all people. I love Sam Darnold on the Niners. I don't know if I love him on the Vikings, but, I mean, hey, you're starting Jaden Daniels, you're getting your points. And honestly, this isn't be kind of surprised. So if he plays, I like Justin Fields against Denver this week. And the only reason is because he is a runner. He did put up a lot of points last week. And I think, honestly, he gives Pittsburgh their best shot for fantasy in general as far as the running backs and the receivers to be as successful as possible. And it's nothing against Russell Wilson. I just think Father Time is undefeated. And being a running quarterback is hard when you're older. But I'm sitting Kirk Cousins against Philly. I mean, Saquon Barkley, honestly, we're going to call it for what it is. Came out like a beast. Philly's defense looks pretty decent considering all things. Cousins didn't look great last week, and I don't know if I trust him against the Philly D. And so I want to apologize for last week. I said Caleb Williams was going to do well. I bought into the hype. I had not bought into the hype all year. I talked crap about him going number 1. And then I was like, you know what? Caleb played so good in the preseason. Take him. And, I mean, they won, but it was not pretty by any means for DJ Moore, Roman Zunier,
Bro, why are we
Keenan Allen.
Why are we talking
about this? I'm just saying.
This is a sore subject right now.
I mean, I think at this moment, especially against Houston, you're not going to play him, but I would keep Caleb Williams on your bench until he plays well.
Yeah.
And if he can prove that he can play well and get to the groove of things and be relevant for fantasy, then you would play him. And there's actually a couple guys on my list that I'll talk about later who are also in that boat. But, and this isn't an overreaction. This is just the truth at this point. Like, he's not worth starting because there's better options out there.
It's week 1. It's week 1.
It is. It is. But who do you got starting this week at quarterback?
Starting, it hurts me to say it, but the only reason why I'm saying it is Anthony Richardson. I talk mad crap about him. He's in the division, but he played well. He Dude, 100% I am. 100% I am. I hope I get an email from him, dude. I'll just send him one of these. Send him the old bird. But anyways, I like him against Green Bay just because Green Bay's quarterback now is an absolute garbage can, but I can't even call him that because a garbage can actually has use.
Oh my
So
god.
I know. I mean, Malik Willis just it's not there, dude. Everybody's trying to hype this up. It's not there. Okay. As a Titans fan, it's not there. So Richardson's going to have a lot of opportunities. That defense is only going to be able to do so much. Green Bay's going to go 3-and-out so much that Richardson's going to have so many opportunities that I think he's going to be a solid pick in starting. Then I actually like Geno Smith against New England. Geno Smith to me is Mr. Consistent. He's consistent all season. Um, and I think he's got a lot of weapons against a New England defense that no longer has Bill Belichick. So that defensive mind is kind of gone. Sure, you got Gerard Mayo. He used to play. But as far as head coaches being former players, they're able to
Right.
get their team to buy into what they're doing, but that doesn't mean that their coaching schemes and all of the coaching elements are there. So, that's something that I think is going to be a factor in especially Gerard Mayo's first kind of year of it all. And, he's trying to get the reins of things. So I do like Geno against New England sitting. Uh, Obviously, we're going Malik Willis against the Colts. The
I
Colts
think that's
defense is
fair.
trash. The Colts defense is trash, but Malik Willis is worse. So, yeah, just get that out of the way. And Kyler Murray, everybody likes him. I don't, especially against the Rams. I think even with Puka gone, the Rams still have too many offensive weapons. They're starting to find that they have more offensive weapons in their depth, which is, Sean McVay is just a mastermind of everything.
Right.
So, never count them out, unfortunately, but Kyler Murray, he missed too many open passes. You can see on multiple occasions.
Yeah,
Marvin
that's
Harrison
true.
Jr. wide open. He's
Oh
not even
man.
looking. And
We'll
that
get into that
also,
later. We'll get into that one
brother,
later for sure. Oh
brother,
man.
but that comes into why during scouting, scouts look at heights of players. Kyler Murray's on the shorter end. Those linemen are 6'5", 6'6" giants. And when
Hey,
you got
short
dudes
kings need
rushing
love
at
too.
you,
Okay,
brother, the only way you're really going to see is outside of that pocket or in that
that's
deep,
fair.
deep start
There
of
are
that
guys
drop
who are
back.
quarterback who have been successful who have been short though. Drew Brees
Oh,
is
a
just
hundred,
one that comes to mind. Probably
a
one of the
hundred
greatest.
percent. But see, those are offensive designs where the
Right.
offensive line, when they drop back in that pass, they actually open up purposely to where the routes are. So those shorter quarterbacks can actually see through the line and see where the routes are developing. So
Right.
that is a part of the offensive scheme and the coaching schemes that, when you have a shorter player like that you're putting all your money in, that's what happens. And you got to do around that.
Yeah, that's fair. Next, we got running backs. This week, I'm starting James Conner against the Rams. I mean, X kind of got into it with Kyler Murray. James Conner was very successful. Thank you for that hot take last week because that definitely helped me whoop your ass. And I just think James Conner's the bell cow. I mean, they have a backup there who's pretty good. I think Benson, but James Conner's still the guy. He's going to get plenty of touches, plenty
Yeah.
of goal line work. I think he's for sure going to score a touchdown regardless, no matter how good that Rams defense is. It's nothing crazy. And I like Jerome Ford this week against Jacksonville. Jacksonville's defense just looks terrible. Yeah, that was last week was
Yeah.
horrendous. And Jerome Ford's really good, especially in PPR format, at catching a lot of those backfield passes. I think he caught like 6 or 7 passes last week. And he's also a threat to just score a touchdown up the middle. So I definitely start him against a weak Jacksonville defense. I'm going to sit Aaron Jones. So I like Aaron Jones, and I think he did really well. And I might have called it that I said he was going to do well last week. But San Francisco's D, as you saw in the Jets game, is good. Is very good. And I don't care how good Aaron Jones is. It just ain't going to happen. Vikings are going to be struggling a lot this week. Their best bet is to try to somehow get it up to Jefferson and figure something out. I don't know what they're going to do. That's on them to figure out. But this week, don't like Aaron Jones. And then I'm actually going to be sitting Javonte Williams against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh D proved last week, too, how good they can be. I mean, they're top 2, top 3 defense.
Yeah.
And honestly, Javonte Williams didn't look good. Bo Nix looked okay, but that's a young team, a lot of young, receivers and running backs, and Coach Payton will eventually figure it out. But this week ain't the week. Honestly, Pittsburgh just needs to put their offense together, and they'd probably be a pretty good threat out there in the AFC. But their defense is top notch, so I'm sitting him. Who do you got starting this week?
Starting, I got Josh Jacobs against the Colts. Just because I think Malik is going to end up folding like a lawn chair. And so they're just going to have to rely on the run. And so I think that Josh Jacobs is going to be really good in PPR for sure. He's going to get a lot of dump offs because Malik's going to panic. A lot of things that they talk about is Malik running out of the pocket, and if that is the case too, he's gonna dump it off to Jacobs just running that little seam up the sideline. So Josh Jacobs is going to be solid, I think. Next, I actually got Tony Pollard against the Jets. I know it's kind of weird, but Pollard, I feel like right now, a lot of people are kind of losing a little bit of faith, actually a lot of bit of faith in Levis. So, and Tony Pollard actually showed in that game that he can be a difference. He can make those adjustments in game and be actually a weapon. So I think what they're going to do is they're going to kind of, after the bad performance, they're going to have Levis kind of just ease his way in, and they're going to give it to Pollard and see what Pollard does with it. So I like Pollard, and I think he's going to have a lot of opportunities, a lot more than people think.
Well, he's a great receiving back too. I mean, I think people always forget like how good of a receiving back he is, because you see Tajay there. Sure. Tajay is like a great receiving back too, but Tony Pollard did that behind Zeke before they let Tony Pollard kick over for Dallas. So
yeah, I mean, I think what they're going to do is they're going to use both backs, obviously in the same system, as Callahan said, that they're both essentially just going to be interchangeable. But I think what he wants to do is kind of see who could be just that, little bit above, that more of the first, second down back, and then maybe that third down back and see where that goes. But I just think he's going to test them quite a bit. I think that'll be good for both. Sitting, when I do my sits, by the way, just kind of disclaimer, this is assuming that you have somebody else that is kind of, maybe you're teetering on, like, somebody else that's like kind of in par with who it is, and you could kind of interchange them. So, for me, I would sit Kamara against Dallas. Micah Parsons is just a beast. I think he's going to tear up that line. Their D-line is pretty stout for the most part. Their defensive schemes, they normally tend to kind of pinch everything in. So it's going to make running lanes really difficult for Kamara because they have the abilities to do that. He is a PPR back, right? So I think that's going to be a little rough because he's going to be getting those negative yards, tackle behind the line for sure. So he's just a scary one for me. The next one is Breece Hall. I would sit him against Tennessee. You can even look. Brian Baldinger did a whole little segment on Sweat, our second round pick, our D lineman. Him, Jeffrey Simmons, Harold Landry, Arden Key. That is probably one of the most underrated defensive lines in the NFL, and I think they are one of the best. And even against the Bears, it showed that the Titans have actually top 10 easily defense. I would probably put them around like 6th, 7th ranking in all honesty. So I actually wouldn't really start Hall. I don't think Hall's going to be able to do a whole lot. I think it's going to be an Aaron Rodgers show, but I've been wrong before.
That's fair. And like I think you said at the top of this, I think it's like if you have, guys that are still good, like this is where you're going to take them out. But if like you're in like in a 14-man league and you have Breece, you got to start him, unfortunately, and just hope that and hope he gets receiving like PPR and then he gets catches in the backfield and he's able to do some work. we're just
like
thinking
even
like
in
touchdowns and stuff. He probably isn't going to go up the middle and
yeah
get a touchdown because the defensive
yeah
line is just so stout that
because even in our league, like I'm starting Kamara because he's the best running
you
back
have
I
to.
kind of have. I
Right,
have no choice, but I don't like it. Like
right.
if there was somebody off waiver or somebody else I could substitute, I would, but I just can't.
Well, that's what I'm
But
saying. Like guys like James
yeah,
Conner, where it's like, yeah, like today, like or this week, he might be like a top 10, but like when you drafted this guy,
right,
he wasn't the first 10 running backs off the board. You know, there's so many other guys that were
right,
picked up, and I think that's where,
right,
like for me, where I'm just kind of like, yeah, like this is a guy that you're gonna plug and play, and maybe put a receiver in your flex instead of a running back, because that's who I have.
right,
James Conner's my flex.
right.
So next we're gonna go with receivers. Off the bat, I'm taking Cooper Kupp. He's the number one guy against Arizona. Arizona completely just botched it against the Bills. Close game. I mean, it was Kyler Murray, but
Right.
with Puka out and who knows how long that injury lingers for. Sorry, Bevel. I know you love Puka, but I don't know, man. It doesn't look good. So he's on
I
IR.
got him in both. I got him in both my leagues,
Yeah,
so I'm hurting.
you're taking Cup. You're starting him, and honestly, rest of
Oh
the
yeah.
season, as long as he doesn't get hurt, he's a number one guy. He could
Mhm.
potentially be the number one fantasy receiver
Oh
in
yeah.
the league. So I mean, he's done it before, so don't be too surprised. So rest of the season, you're starting that guy unless something crazy happens. And next, I'm starting Debo at Minnesota, and that's only because Ayuk did come back. He didn't look good, but Debo is being utilized in the running game, which I really really liked, and I was hoping for when I started him in fantasy last week. Um, and to Minnesota, I mean, they have him at like number 2 ranked defense, but let's be real, they played the Giants, so that's kind of like that's an overreaction. Their defense is not that good.
Yeah.
The Niners are going to probably blow them out of the water, so I think Debo's going to be involved, and I could see him getting another rushing touchdown possibly. I'm sitting though any Green Bay receiver, and that is until for any team until further notice, until either they sign Ryan Tannehill, only because there's some kind of
Yeah.
relationship
Tannehill
with the
would be a
offensive
good one.
coordinator and Tannehill,
Yep.
or Jordan Love comes back. And I don't know what the status is of
Yeah.
Jordan Love. I don't know if he's going to be back next week, if it's going to be a couple weeks. But until they come back, I'm not starting Reed. I'm not starting Watson. I'm not starting any of those guys because
Nope.
I don't trust Malik Willis.
No.
And even when Tannehill gets signed, if that happens, I wouldn't start him until they can prove that they're going to be consistent. And I think
Yeah.
the thing with Jordan Love is that he had such a big repertoire with the running backs, with the receivers already, that it was still up in there who was even going to get the ball. But now I think even more so, it's basically going to be the Josh Jacobs show, and that's going to be kind of it. So
Just a
you're
short
sitting
little
them.
thing. If they sign Tannehill, I would feel comfortable doing it because obviously as a Titans fan, I know how Tannehill can play with a good line. Green Bay has a good line. He could be something. Just something to monitor.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, that's just my opinion. Is I would wait a week,
Yeah.
just like with
No, for
anybody,
sure.
just wait a week and
Just to
see how
see.
it goes before
Yeah.
you throw all your eggs in one basket, because you might just end up
Yeah.
getting a loss that you don't need.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm sitting Deontay Johnson against the Chargers. I had really high hopes for him going from Pittsburgh to Carolina. I mean, I know Carolina's a way worse team, but I think more of like being the number one guy next to Adam Thielen,
Right.
which honestly
Yep.
would have opened up Adam Thielen. But Adam Thielen had so many targets, and then they have Xavier, the rookie as well. I forget his last name, but it starts with an L, and he got a lot of targets too. So I mean, Bryce Young's kind of he's attempting to spread the ball around, would be a way I'd put it. He is not fantasy
Right.
viable. He's playing horrible. Their offense and their defense is playing horrible. I would just honestly, I mean, I guess just all Carolina Panthers I'd stay away from until they prove otherwise. But X, who do you got starting this week?
Starting, I got Pittman Jr. against Green Bay
Ooh.
for the obvious. For the obvious, dude, Malik Willis is going to be going 3 and out real quick.
I just want to point this out. Didn't you say that he was boo-boo when we were drafting and you made fun of me for drafting him? I just want to recall this moment.
100% I did.
Brother, why? And he had like 8 targets, I think, last week. But anyways, continue.
I have no regrets. I have no regrets. I still say
regrets.
it. Yep, no regrets, brother. No regrets. If he would be going against Jordan Love, he would not be on this list. I can tell you that right now. But when it comes to starting and sitting, brother, you got to take into account the entire team, offense and defense. So Pittman's gonna do good. It's just as simple as that. It's Malik Willis, bro. He's gonna do good. DK Metcalf is my next one against New England. New England, in my opinion, has just not a good defense. Their offense is just trying to figure out an identity of anything. So I think DK is going to have a lot of chances, and Seahawks defense is, kind of establishing itself along with like the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Ravens of just having a solid defense every single year, no matter who they have. And so I think that New England's not going to be able to do a whole lot. Sitting, I'm sitting every single Texan wide receiver against Chicago. Every single one of them. Chicago's defense plays lights out. Um, and I think now that Caleb Williams has a game under his belt, a lot of things that coaches talk about is how sometimes you can be a practice hero, but then when you go into a game, you're just absolute garbage. And so they as NFL coaches, you figure that out, right? You figure out how your players play during games and stuff like that. And so I feel like they're going to make those adjustments. I feel like Caleb Williams will maybe have a little bit better of a game. But I wouldn't do it just because that Chicago defense is very stingy, super stingy. Then Chris Olave against
Oh God.
Dallas.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Oof.
No. No.
Oof.
No. Like I feel like that should be self-explanatory, but I know there's that one guy out there just as much as I, hate Anthony Richardson, they love Chris Olave and I'm like, "Bro, just stop."
I didn't touch
Just
him in
stop.
any of my leagues. I didn't
Dude,
care who. I didn't touch him with a 10
Olave
foot pole.
in London. Olave in London. I hate them with a passion. They are nothing. Put them on the Texans right now. What would they be? They would be number 4. They would not be good. They're in between a third wide receiver and a second wide receiver. They're in this weird little spot right there of just like not officially a trash can, but as useless as a rock. So like, what are we doing? So I don't know. It just do not play him, especially against Dallas. Maybe he'll be good later on.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree. I mean, I remember Olave being so high and Drake London, and I'm just like, why? Like they haven't proved it. I mean, Olave had a decent year last year, but it's
disgusting, brother.
I don't know. Derek Carr also had a weird game. He did really well, but he was throwing to Rashid Shaheed mostly for those big bombs. He didn't get a lot of targets, but that's where his big plays was coming from. And Kamara did really well too. So, but this week tight end got to start Likely, and that's not an overreaction. That's just a fact. I think when you see a tight end get 11 targets in the game, the Raiders defense, like people are hyping them up. I didn't see it. Mark Andrews, yeah, I mean, Mark Andrews isn't worth dropping, but at the same time, I think Likely is a better receiving tight end than a blocking tight end. And I think Lamar, especially with Mark Andrews getting hurt last year, kind of built up a repertoire with him. I don't know if you're going to see 11 targets a game from him, but I think he's definitely a red zone threat. I mean, I know he lost that game. I mean, it was close. That was a good game, but he's still going to be a red zone threat. He's tall, he's big, he has great hands. I don't like the Raiders defense. So, I mean, if I had to go with like a middle tier running or tight end and you don't really have anybody that's like the top 5 tight ends, you're throwing in Likely if you got him with your waiver wire pickup. And then next, I'm starting Parkinson at Arizona. And that is the Rams backup tight end because Higbee's out. And the only reason why I'm doing that is because he had a lot of targets. And if Arizona, which these divisional games get really weird all the time because it could always go both ways. And they know the other team really well. I think Parkinson's is going to be that safe option for Matt Stafford if needed. But the Rams in general have a lot of weapons, so that's just my 2 cents on that. I'm sitting Tyler Conklin. I honestly was kind of hoping. I mean, not against the Niners, but in general, I thought he'd get some more targets. He has some pretty good hands. He's really tall. He has a great blocker though. But against the Tennessee line, I just don't see him getting open very much. He's going to probably be blocking a lot, trying to make sure Rodgers doesn't get sacked. So. I wouldn't put any faith in him. And then Freiermuth, I'm sitting him against Denver. And that's too because I don't know if Justin Fields or Russell Wilson's playing. But honestly, I feel like the last 2 years, this being the second year, he hasn't really done anything crazy. He had a really good year his first year, but after that, I haven't really seen anything from him. So for the time being, I'm kind of just not wanting to play him until I can see something from him to prove that he could be fantasy relevant. But who do you got starting this week at tight end?
So, starting at tight ends, I actually got Pitts against Philly.
Did get his first touchdown.
Dude, I like the matchup. I don't know why when when I was making the list, I was just kind of looking at it, and you know how you just got to go with your gut. I don't know why. I was looking at him. I was just looking at the matchup. I was thinking of just how the game would go, and for some reason, I'm on board with it. Pitch shows a lot of potential to do big things. The hype's around him. Um, so I think with his, I'll say a little bit underperforming uh, game last week for the hype that he got, I feel like that'll kind of play a little bit into coaches kind of taking their eyes a little bit off of him. You might see a little bit of those one-on-one matchups, which I feel like Pitts will be able to exploit in a sense. And then I like Schultz against Chicago. I feel like Chicago's defense is going to be focused on mixing in the backfield. They're going to be focused on the three receivers to the point where I think Schultz is just going to kind of be able to wiggle on out there and just kind of go under the radar and a little unnoticed. And he'll just be that kind of one game hero for a minute in this game. So I really like Schultz, honestly. Who I would be sitting, Ingram against Cleveland. Oh gosh, that guy, dude.
Kind of
That
explains
guy is,
itself, to be honest.
brother, that dude is a roller coaster of emotions, is what that guy is.
Well, it's not even his fault, though, dude. Freaking T-Law just needs to
dude,
get the ball to him, man.
Dude, we're in a weird era in the NFL right now where average quarterbacks are just being paid like they're Peyton Manning and Tom Brady's. It's the weirdest thing in the world
Look at
right
Daniel
now.
Jones.
This is a weird time, brother.
Well, he's
This
trash
is a
can, but
weird time in the NFL. And hopefully, you know, the pendulum always swings. So we'll hope it's coming back, but I would not start Ingram. Ingram is looking like boo-boo right now. The next one, I would not start Bowers against Baltimore. Sit that boy. Sit that boy. He
he had a
did
lot of
pretty
targets
well.
last week, though. Yeah.
I think he did pretty well, but NFL coaches pick up on that real quick.
Yeah.
And you could tell that Gardner Minshew is a little bit handicapped in his abilities and what he can do. Just by his reads, you could tell by his reads, he's getting more. I mean, the Colts didn't really have a great offensive line in the first place. They actually do really have a good offensive line on paper, but when you watch them, you kind of question it. But I think he's got a little bit of PTSD, and I think it shows in his decision making. And I think Bowers is just going to be a little rough on this week. So
yeah, I mean, Baltimore has a top defense. I mean, I always like to pick him up every year in fantasy, and
yep.
I mean, Kyle
They're
Hamilton
always reliable.
is the number one safety probably in the league, and at year 3.
Right.
And their corners are nasty, and I mean, in general, they always have a great defense, and I think that's completely fair. This week, I'm starting the Chargers D against Carolina. I mean, they're probably going to be the highest scoring D. Carolina is an absolute shit show, as I said earlier. Yeah. That's not an overreaction. That is an underreaction. No. Carolina is terrible. And then I'm starting Dallas D against New Orleans. It's funny because Angel and I think I've talked to you about Angel, the Cowboys fan. He's in our league, but a friend of mine at work. He always talks about Trayvon Diggs and Blanche, Blanche is her. But I'm like, look, I like Dallas D. Obviously for Micah. Micah's one of the best. Yeah. But their corners are boomer bust, and that means they're either going to give up big plays or they're going to score touchdowns and get interceptions. However, this week against the Saints, I think Derek Carr kind of had a little bit of fire, a little pep in his step, but I think he's going to be brought right back down to reality real quick against a top 5 defense in the league. And I don't think Derek Carr is going to do what he did last week against a really bad defense. So I think Dallas is going to humble him quite a bit. Sitting in retrospect, I'm sitting New Orleans defense against Dallas. I think Dallas, their offense didn't do anything crazy against the Browns, but like I said, I think on paper, the Browns is probably like the number 1 defense as far as fantasy is concerned. And considering that they still won and did what they did against the Browns, I really do think Dak is going to be a top 5 quarterback, and obviously CD, if he can score some touchdowns, is going to be a top receiver. I mean, I think most people picked him either 2 or 3. So sit New Orleans, don't risk it. Dallas just has too many weapons, and I mean, Dak and CD, Brandon Cooks, they have a trio of running backs. nothing crazy, but they'll still they can get the job done. So,
Right.
and second, I mean, you shouldn't have this guy or this defense on your team, but if you do, don't start New York Giants or the
No.
New Jersey Giants, I should call them, since they play in Jersey with the Jets. And
No.
that's for you old New York Giant Joe over here against
Ugh.
Washington. I mean, that game's going to be weird too because it's divisional, but
Yeah.
New York Giants D, their offense, their defense, I just don't trust anything. I like Malik Neighbors. I feel bad for him, but yeah, I'm staying away from both of those defenses for sure. Who do you got starting this week on D?
Starting, I got Pittsburgh against Denver. I feel like that one is honestly pretty self-explanatory. Pittsburgh
100%.
defense really good. Denver trying to find an identity on offense, don't know what they are, and kind of going through a weird midlife crisis. So hopefully they figure that out. Honestly, yeah, that one's just pretty self-explanatory. And then I
I
got
think both of them are.
49ers. Oh yeah, 100%. 49ers against Minnesota. Minnesota is in a weird point where I don't know. It almost seems like they're trying to establish a run game with whatever is there. And you just got to understand just what your talents are as a team. They're not really a run team, but yet they really dedicate to the run, and it's kind of weird to me. You got Justin Jefferson there, bro. Just use him.
I mean, they do have Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones was the only reason why the Packers won a lot of those games last year. It's because of his yards after the catch and him breaking for big runs. I mean, if you're going to call for what it is.
I don't know, man. You built that identity for a while. You built around that team. You built around Kirk Cousins. You built around Justin Jefferson. Both of those don't adapt to a running game. Your linemen are based, if you're building around a quarterback and a wide receiver, you're getting pass blocking linemen. You're not getting run blocks. They don't. That's not what you're trying to do. So I feel like they're just a little asshat backwards right now.
They should have paid Kirk is what they should have done rather than letting him go. And
honestly, I agree with
that. That's a whole
that.
nother.
And that
was their best shot, I think, at a Super Bowl. So
100%. Sitting, I would sit Tennessee against New York. The New York Jets. Tennessee, they showed that they have a great defense, really good defense. However, that offense is just too many question marks. You don't know what you're going to get. And, a good defense can only stay on the field and hold off points as long as possible before eventually that offense.
Didn't your coach say that we should have just punted on 1st and 10 every time? Maybe we would have won. Is that what he said? Was that your coach that said that?
No.
What coach said that? That was last week, but you know who I'm talking about, though, right?
I have no. I didn't.
Did you guys play the Bears last week?
We did play the Bears, but
it was your coach. Your coach said that.
No,
you should look it up.
True.
I think so. Look it up. Yeah, honestly, I'm going to take this time right now in the middle of the show to look this up.
100%. Go ahead, dude.
Let's see.
So I'll move on while you're looking up this false report. I would sit Tampa Bay against Detroit. Tampa Bay does have in my opinion, a good enough offense to kind of keep the clock moving, but they are a little bit more. They're kind of like Minnesota. They are a passing team, but yet they really do try to establish the run, which, some coaches will say, well, you got to establish the run game to get the passing game, but sometimes that's just not it.
Okay. I'll let you finish this, and then I have the quote. It is from your coach, Callahan.
Tampa Bay, I just wouldn't trust them against Detroit. Williams popped off. Amon St. Raw. You got a two-headed beast in the backfield. You got Jared Goff. It's just there's too much potential for a bust there. But all right, go on with your Callahan quote.
All right. So Callahan said after the game, or on Monday, he said, "We were playing so good on defense. It was almost as if we just punted it on 1st and 10 every time. We might have won the game. The way we gave it away."
That's
from his mouth. Yeah, he said that.
You know what? That's fine because honestly, the way that offense was playing, I don't blame him, dude.
That's
You could
crazy to know
tell
your
that
coach
that
said that.
was
That's funny as hell, though.
brother. That is coming of a place of frustration because he is an
Oh,
offensive
100%.
mind. So to watch an
100%.
offense stall out like that, you're
Dude, you have Calvin
literally
Ridley and DeAndre Hopkins, bro. Like,
brother.
you got to
You're
do
really
something.
about to take old Yeller out back. You really are, dude. It's
Yeah,
ridiculous.
it's bad. But, yeah. So, anyways, I just thought that would be a fun little snippet since X didn't know that. Next, we're going to get into the football bets for week 2. I just got to pull it up here. Give me a second. And we're going to kind of just fly through these.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can just go to espn.com and check those out. That's what I'm using. I'm not making my own odds and doing all that. That's too much work. We're just going to show you what it is and let's see. Ooh, and kind of go from there. I don't like this thing. Oh, well, whatever. All right. First game of the week, we got Buffalo Bills taking on the Miami Dolphins. Thursday Night Football. Miami is favored at -1.5. The money line is favored, obviously, the Dolphins, and the total is 48.5. So for me, I'm taking the Dolphins at -1.5. And because of that, I'm taking the Dolphins on the money line, and I think the total is going to be over 48.5. Just because there's two high-end good offenses and their defenses are kind of boo-boo, call it for what it is. X, who do you got this week in this matchup?
Honestly, I kind of like where it stands. It's fine with me. Honestly, I would. Nah, you know what?
Just pick a team.
Yeah,
Pick a team.
I'd probably take Miami.
All
to win
right.
it. Yeah.
Easy. All right. Next, we got San Francisco -6 versus Minnesota. I like San Francisco at -6. I think they win by 2 touchdowns or more. So I'm taking the money line on that. But the total, honestly, I think it's going to be under. I don't know if it goes over 45.5 points. Just because I think the Niners defense is so good, I don't see Minnesota scoring a lot. And I don't know if I see the Niners scoring 30-something plus points on them, to be honest. But that's just me.
Hey, you never know, dude.
You never know.
It could be a Jake Moody situation, dude. That Minnesota Vikings kicker just hitting 20 points.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about all that.
I would take San Francisco for sure.
Okay. Dope. Next game, Los Angeles Chargers -6.5 versus the Carolina Panthers. That is easy money. Coach Harbaugh is leading to the path of enlightenment with nothing. McConkey's going to be rookie. I don't know about rookie of the year, but hey, he looks good. I'm taking the Chargers at -6.5. I think they win by 10 points plus. I'm taking the Chargers at -290, and I think the total is going to be over 39.5. For sure. Who you got in this game? I think it's pretty obvious, but
I agree with everything you said, dude.
For sure. Next, we got Indianapolis Colts -3.5 versus the Green Bay Packers. Yeah, I'm taking the Colts at -3.5 all day. I don't know if I have the total at over 40.5 though, just because I don't trust Green Bay. See, it opened at 47.5. Yeah, I'm taking the under at 40.5. I don't see the Colts putting up 30 plus points, and I don't see the Packers scoring very much besides a couple field goals. So I'm taking the under on the total, Colts on the money line. I think you said it multiple times who you got this week, but who are you taking this week in this game?
I'm taking Green Bay.
No, get the hell out of here.
No, I agree with everything you say. I mean, we talked about it. We talked about it before the show, but honestly, everything you're going to pretty much say, I agree with, honestly. There's not really much.
Okay. So you want me just to run through it?
Yeah, just run through it, brother, because honestly.
It's the same.
Yep.
All right, that's cool. All right. Well, I'm speaking for the both of us now. So next game, we got New York Giants versus the Commanders. I'm taking the Commanders at -2. I don't trust Daniel Jones and the boo-boo New Jersey Giants. So I'm taking the money line on the Commanders, and I think the totals. Honestly, I'm going to go under because I don't think neither of these teams are really that good. So taking the under on that. Next, we got Cowboys and Saints. Cowboys are favored by -6.5. I'm taking Cowboys at -6.5. I'm taking the Cowboys money line. And I think that actually the total, give me the over on that one. Screw it. You never know. Ooh. Derek Carr might put something in, little hump in the step.
They might be running on the momentum.
Yeah, who knows? I'm taking Cleveland. I'm not taking Cleveland. So we got Cleveland at Jacksonville. Ooh, this one's a hard one, dude. I think I put Jacksonville, on my list, and I'll show the list afterwards. But for me, I don't like Trevor Lawrence. I don't like the Jaguars, but The Cleveland Browns just have no
Deshaun.
offense. They have a great
Oh,
defense, but no offense. Honestly, I think they were to be better if they were to put Jameis Winston in instead of Deshaun. Deshaun has a lot of
yeah.
distractions. He's not really proving his contract. So I'm taking Jacksonville at -3, but at the total, I'm taking the under on that, just because I don't see them scoring very much, to be honest. The next game, we got New York Jets.
Deshaun's
Sorry, go
too
ahead.
loose from all them massages, dude.
Oh,
He's too
man.
loose
Come
right
on.
now.
Come on.
Or is he stiff? I don't know.
Uh, maybe both. So next, oh man, I thought this was family friendly. No, it's not. All right, next we got New York Jets -4 versus Tennessee Titans. You're taking that -4 all day long. That is easy money. You're taking the Jets money line and the total. Honestly, I'm probably taking the under because I don't know. I mean, the Tennessee still has a good defense. I don't trust it.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna.
I would take the under.
Yeah, I'd take the under on that for sure. Next game, we got the Bucks versus the Lions at -7. I'm taking Detroit at -7 all day. I like Baker Mayfield. I really like his story. You know, he went from the Boo Boo Browns, hopped around a little bit. He was on the Rams, got himself a fat contract with the Bucks. Good for him. I don't see them beating Detroit. Detroit has a great offense, even greater defense. Hutchinson's a beast. I think he's going to be putting a lot of pressure on Baker. And so I'm taking the Lions at -7, taking the Lions money line and the total at 51.5. Honestly, I'm taking the under because we didn't see a lot from Amon-Ra last week. So I think that's a little high. So I'm taking the under.
I was going to butt in on that and say 100% the under.
Yeah,
100% the under.
Next, so this one's a bigger spread. We got Las Vegas Raiders versus the Baltimore Ravens at -9.5. I'm taking the Ravens at -9.5. The Raiders, they had a good little story going after the end of last season, beat the Chiefs. The coach came in, players coached, everyone rallied behind him. You watched the series with Davante Adams, the receiver. Not a sponsor, but you should definitely watch it. Great show, great insight, great behind the scenes. But yeah, they're boo-boo, bro. Call it for what it is. Raiders are garbage, nothing new. And I'm not even trying to be biased as a Niners fan. I have family members that are Raiders fans, but just saying it, man. Davante needs to get out of there. But I'm taking Ravens at -450. And I'm taking the total over 41.5 just because I think Ravens are going to absolutely run up the score. They got Lamar, they got Derrick Henry.
Dude, we all have those one family members that just make bad decisions and become Raiders fans. Like, we all got them, bro.
We all got them. Next game, we got Seattle -3.5 versus the Patriots. So even though the Patriots did really well against Cincinnati Bengals, of which I'm going to, be the first to say X. Good job on calling that. You've been saying it since preseason, the draft, first episode we did. You were right. The Bengals do not look good. Joey B looks terrible. Jamar Chase does not look good either. But with this situation, I do like Seattle at -3.5. I am going to take the Seahawks money line. And honestly, 38.5, even though it's really low, I think I'm still going to take the under on that just because, I don't know. I don't think New England scores a lot. And the Seahawks and the receivers didn't really do anything last week. So. And Kenneth Walker might not play. He has an oblique injury, so we don't know. So because of that, I'm taking the under. Breaking news if you didn't know that. Yeah. Next, we got Los Angeles Rams versus the Cardinals at -1.5. So this, viewers, this is the game. I'm taking it, the Rams at +1.5. Not for the spread, but because I think the Rams are going to beat the Cardinals. It is going to be a close game. Yep. The total at 49.5, I feel like that's high, personally. I like them, but that's high. I don't know if I can see them both a divisional game scoring 25 points each. I don't know about that. They still have half decent defenses. Let's not discredit them here.
I don't know, man.
It's weird because it's divisional, but I just figured any divisional game is usually really close in general. So I don't know if I can see them scoring that many points.
Bro, I'm going to go out on a limb. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's going to be over.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I'm taking the under.
I'm going to go out
on
one. I would
Next game, Bengals, Chiefs. But you agree with the Rams winning, right? Or do you want to say something? Anyway, cool.
No, Rams.
Next game, we got Bengals and Chiefs. Chiefs are favored by -6. You're taking that all day. Bengals look like crap. T. Higgins might not play. Jamar Chase still doesn't have his contract. So, yeah, maybe you're taking Chiefs all day. I think that's a
easy pick.
Yeah, that's easy. You're taking Chiefs money line, and honestly, the total I'm taking. I might take the under just because I don't trust the Bengals offense. To be honest.
Oh yeah, no, that's an under.
Yeah. All right, we got 3 more games left. We got Steelers at -3 versus the Broncos. Honestly, did I pick the Steelers up? Let's see. I did.
Yeah. Yeah,
I
you did.
did. I
I would
did.
go
All
Pittsburgh.
right. Yeah, I have Steelers at -3. I for sure. I like Bo Nix. I've been hyping him up since before the draft. No one believed me, but unfortunately, just the Broncos don't have it all together yet. Um, so I think if Justin Fields is playing, for sure, I'm taking the -3. I'd be a little hesitant to even bet on it in general if Russell Wilson's playing. I still think they win regardless. And then the total at 36.5, which I think is the lowest. Ooh, I don't know. Honestly, I'd still probably take the under on that, just because I don't trust either of them to score a lot of touchdowns.
No.
So their defense, it's going to be a really defensive game.
Yeah.
Next, two more games. We got Bears versus Houston. Houston's favored by -6.5. You're taking that all day. Caleb is going to get his socks rocked. He's
Oh,
he's going to be in for a rude awakening. Houston's one of those teams where I feel like they had probably for fantasy have a top 2 defense, but people don't really realize it. You got to remember they have the reigning rookie defensive player of the year, Will Anderson, and rookie offensive player of the year in CJ Stroud. So they have a lot of promise. I think they win by 2 touchdowns. So I'm taking the Texans money line, and the total 45.5. Honestly, give me the over. F it. I think
really?
the Bears. I think the Bears can score a couple. I mean,
I'm
I
going
think they
under.
score 2 touchdowns, and I think Houston's going to beat them. I think Houston can score like 4 or 5 touchdowns total.
That's fair.
Last game. Oh, this is kind of an underwhelming Monday Night Football game. Honestly, they should have put the
Yeah.
Rams and the Cardinals on Monday night. That'd have been a good game.
Yeah.
We got Atlanta versus the Eagles. The Eagles are favored by -6.5. I think that's easy money. Saquon, Jalen, no Jason Kelsey, but it's all right. They still got the tush push working. They have AJ Brown sick. They have Devontae Smith sick. Dallas Goedert's still there. He's not hurt yet. So you take. I for sure they for sure win by a touchdown. Taking the money line on the Eagles and the total at 47.5. I'd probably take the under on that just because I can't trust the Falcons right now.
Yep.
Yep.
I'm with it.
Alrighty. And then I have one more screen to share, and this is just going to be the picture. So I'm going to post this on our Instagram, and I'm going to put it on our website as well. Well, you can see it on it because our Instagram is connected to the website, so you can check it out. This is just what I have posted, or I'm going to post, and this is just the game. So the check mark means this is the team that I think is going to win. So if you want to screenshot this, or if you want to check our Instagram or our website, you can check it out. It'll be posted every week for every week's games. I think last week we did pretty well. I think a lot of people missed the Bengals, and I don't think people had the Bengals losing to the Patriots, but it is what it is. This week, the 4 games, because there are 16, so if you're going to do a 12 leg, the games I'm going to avoid is New York versus Washington, just because it's divisional and it can be weird. You never know. I'm staying away from Cleveland and Jacksonville, just because Cleveland does have a good defense, so I don't know if I could fully be very confident in that pick. I'm staying away from Steelers and Broncos, even though I think the Steelers will win. Just it's weird because they have the Steelers don't have an offense really. And I'm staying away from what was the last game? I think it's the Rams and Cardinals, just because it is divisional. You never know. I mean, and you can still. I think you can pretty much be very confident. The Dolphins and Bills game is going to be a very competitive game, but I just think Josh Allen doesn't have enough weapons around him. So
Yeah.
but other than that, I think it's pretty straightforward. And I'm pretty confident in everything else. So if you want to screenshot that, go for it. This will be posted on our website and posted on our Instagram. So you can check it out there. And I'll probably post it to TikTok too, because I know people love to talk shit. So next, we're getting closer to the end here. So we finished our money line. We did our bets. So this is something new. I've never really done it. And actually, I'm going to encourage everybody to go ahead and comment on the post, send us a DM, comment on our Instagram, wherever you see our content. Please make comments. If you guys ask questions, we'll go ahead and address them at the end of the show. And plus, that gives us a way to interact with you. And if you want to just talk shit, talk your shit. I mean, I could really care less, to be honest. But it's all in good fun. It's all for a good time. And so this segment is just simply some of the questions we began. So obviously, we did our starts and sits at the beginning of the episode. And people are always going to be constantly texting you. I don't know about UX, but I get texts all day long about who should I trade for? Who should I start and sit?
Oh, yeah.
And I think with anything, the projections for the fantasy football apps are pretty good for your starters. Some of the mid-tier guys, you kind of got to do based on matchup, and I think that's like my
Yeah.
best piece of advice for you is if Alan Lazard is getting 9 targets and next week he gets 9 targets, you probably need to start him in your flex if you don't have a better person that's getting 9 targets. Just because as long as Aaron Rodgers is healthy, he's going to be getting that target influx, and that's going to be kind of you're really basing on that. If you're starting Xavier Worthy thinking that he's going to get 3 touches and he score 2 touchdowns every week, I promise you that's not going to happen. I love Xavier Worthy. He's a local boy from Fresno. I like it. I like that he had a huge first game, but it's not realistic if he gets 3 touches next week that he's going to score 2 to 3 touchdowns. Maybe a touchdown if he's lucky, but it's just not realistic. So don't kind of put those thoughts in your head. Just kind of think about it more rationally and be like, okay, what are the odds, probability odds that he's going to do that again? Right. Probably not. So kind of just keep that in the back of your head and have more realistic expectations of your players based on where they are in the depth chart and how many targets that they're receiving and who their quarterback is. I mean, I think that's fair to say, right?
Oh yeah, no, for sure. As far as it goes, like the one thing that I want to touch on is coming on trades. So for me, how I do it is I break it down into tiers. So I have your superstar players, your Patrick Mahomes, your Justin Jeffersons, your Pukas, your Cooper Cups, the obvious people, right? Your CMCs, Tyreek Hills. Those are going to be your superstars. Then you got high end. All right. So that's going to be like where you start to get a little bit down more. So like for me, it would be Connor. It would be your Connors, your Gibbs, your Derrick Henrys, in those types where
I would still put them as superstar though, not Connor, but like Derrick Henry, Saquon, Gibbs. I think those teams are.
I'll be the first one to tell you I took Derrick Henry in the second round in one of my drafts. However, I think that was overvalued. But with how the draft was going, he was best on the board at the time. Right. And so you need to break it down into tiers, and you need to keep those tiers in your mind. So when people throw out these trades, you need to think to yourself, okay, so if I'm trying to get a superstar, what is worth a superstar? It's going to be either a superstar, even, right? So that's a 1-for-1 trade. Anything else you're giving, you're just losing on that. And if you're trying to match a superstar, then you give a high tier and a mid tier. That would equal a superstar in my eyes. So to me, I would be okay with that. 2-for-1. I'm okay with that. And you know what? Even that 2-for-1, if that one guy wants to throw in this little mid-tier random on the wobbler fence guy, sure. Why not? But 2 high tiers for a superstar, to me, not worth it. Not worth it. That's just, just kind of think a little bit logically about it. In fantasy, a lot of things that people do is they overthink things, right? You're sitting there looking at your roster 8 times a day when you've already had it set. You're never changing it, but you're just sitting there thinking about it. That's how it comes in with trades. Please, 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 let me just put this out there. Don't do stupid trades. Don't do stupid trades, dude. Don't put in the Buccaneers defense trading for Lamar Jackson. Like, what are we doing? You're wasting everybody's time.
That's normal.
Brother,
I think that's normal, especially with new players.
But I can't stand it. I cannot stand it.
Right, but I think that's more of you talking.
Kills me,
that's you talking to like some of the veteran players because they do it all the time. And I think this is more of like an address to some newer players because I have newer players like at work who have never played before. Don't take the bait. Like it's don't be afraid to ask somebody. No. I mean, you can even comment on our thing. I get text all day long about trying to figure out who like should I trade for this person?
Know what,
it's like no.
I am actually saying that to veteran players of fantasy football.
Don't for sure.
Disrespect the people in your league like that, dude. That's embarrassing, bro.
To be fair, I'll say this. I, in particular, in 2 of my leagues, you're in one of them. I grabbed Jordan Mason early because I knew, and we still don't know if CMC's going to be back next week. He's for sure not going to be back this week. To me, any Niners running back, and you saw what he did in week 1, I'm not saying he's worth a superstar. That's not what I'm saying. But to me, because of what he is, I think he's worth like a Rashee Rice. And that's what I offer. I think he's worth a Rashee Rice because if CMC doesn't play, at least you have a running back now. Right? Because the only other guy that's available is Allison Acker Matheson. Is he really going to be worth starting every week? Probably not. So at least then you're getting a guy, and even if CMC comes back, you're Gucci because then you stash this guy, you don't drop him, And if CMC gets hurt again, which he probably will, because it's Achilles tendonitis, that doesn't go away. Especially not right now. It's going to take a hot minute. You at least can have a backup and you can put him in. So
And
that's
nonetheless,
also a plea
too,
to the people in my leagues. But like,
right.
if you want that guy, if not, I'm starting him. If he's playing, I'm starting him because I got a
Oh,
number one
yeah.
running back all day long. But
Yeah.
I'm not going to
And
ask for a Derrick Henry or for a Saquon because that's
no.
ridiculous.
And you do also take people, on the waiver wires to block other people in your league.
100%.
That's what you do. That's a part of the strategies of fantasy football. So don't
Correct.
be afraid, even if you don't need this guy. If you don't need this guy, but there's a guy on your roster that you can drop and nobody's going to pick up, it's not going to hurt the team by any means, brother, pick up that guy to block the rest of your league. Do it. I do it all the time. I get all these angry messages all the time. Bro, you don't even need that guy. Why are you taking him? Because I know you need him, and I'm going to play you
Right.
in 2 weeks. And that guy's
Right.
relevant to you right now. In the next 2 weeks, you got nothing, brother. That's a free dub. Free dub.
Right. Or you use it as trade bait. And that's what I do with a lot of guys too. Like when I dropped early to pick up Mason when I seen that CMC might not play and even the sniffling, because I was like, to me, it's worth it because then I have a starter. And that's why too, if people don't want to trade, cool. You use them. Use the player. And then if you need him, keep him on your bench. We have plenty of bench spots. You have IR spots. Keep him there until you need them. And then people are going to be hurting when they need a backup. So, especially at the running back position, And next, so that's just kind of like the thoughts on like who to start and sit, waiver wires. The next one, I kind of just very quickly wanted to get into some overreactions and underreactions. So someone in my league, I don't want to name them, they dropped Jordan Love. It's a 14-man league. There was no need for it. We had plenty of bench spots. But they're like, well, he's hurt. And I'm like, okay, well, I understand you're a new player, but it's okay if they're hurt. You put them in the IR. If their IR spot's full, you just keep them there. It's not the end of the world. Jordan Love in a 14-man league is definitely startable.
Yes.
And you don't need to overreact on his injury. You stash him. If it's like a slot receiver, yeah, drop him. You can get somebody else. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Puka, you're not going to drop Puka. You're not going to drop CMC because he's not playing. Don't drop a quarterback who has a lot of fantasy value. So overreactions are dropping players. You said Mark Andrews got dropped in one of your leagues?
Oh, brother. One of my leagues, somebody drops Mark Andrews for what? He had one bad game, first game of the week. Brother, those are the biggest overreactions. The biggest overreactions is always week one. Always week one.
Right.
It's week one, brother. Like when it comes to like week 5, week 6, and this boy's not producing, sure, I get it. But at that point, brother, so that hopefully I pick him up. I'm sure
especially
a bunch
if
of
you
other
drafted him high too, it's like not worth it. Like if it's like a last 5 rounds and like whatever, but if it's a guy that you got and went up and got and really like committed to him, you can't be willing to just drop him just because unless he's hurt for the year or something. Right. But
if Patrick Mahomes has 3 bad games in a row, you going to drop Patrick Mahomes? Like what are we doing? Like
no.
Come on.
Same
just understand how
this
year.
No matter how bad he plays, no, you keep him, you start him. You have to.
Exactly.
Right.
Just like I said, have your tier list, have your people in there, and do not stray from that tier list. Don't stray from it.
100%. Joe Burrow will figure it out. Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow aren't going to be. Oh, that's still an overreaction too, I guess technically.
I mean, and that's one of those things. Like it could be seen as about.
Don't think that Jordan Mason is going to be the top running back in fantasy all year. Like that's even if CMC doesn't come back. It's not realistic as an undrafted guy to go in there and be the number one guy. Like you saw Saquon, certain other guys out there. Like, that's just crazy. But like I said, this little segment at the end, I'm going to kind of use it to just field questions and questions even that I get text or just people message me or whatever. Right. I'm just going to use this moment to kind of address everybody and to kind of use this moment to share our opinions because all at the end of the day is just our opinions and our thoughts. Whether they're right or not, we're not giving you betting advice. We're just giving our hunches and our opinions. So, we'll continue to do this if everyone likes it. Since I keep getting bombed with texts, we'll keep doing it. And X, if you want to share what some of your friends are saying too, that'd be awesome. And I'm sure other people also have those same questions. And we'll kind of just go from there. Check out our website. It's www.unfiltered.com. We're going to have that list that I showed earlier showing you what teams we think are going to win. If you guys really want to see our starts and sits, I can post it. On our website. It's just easier to not do it on our Instagram, but you can check us out on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. We're technically on Twitter, but we don't use it a whole lot. And please comment. We're on Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcasts. and just hit us up. Well, like I really like this last segment. I think it'll be a lot of fun, especially kind of see where everyone's
Yeah.
heads are at. This episode will be out on Thursday, and I know it's kind of hard for waiver wire pickups and whatnot. But if you guys can think and plan ahead, then we can answer those questions for you. But until next time, X, thanks for hopping on, and everybody,
course.
see you next week. Peace.
See ya.